That's good too.
So, Dennis, it's been like 3 weeks or something because we skipped 2 weeks.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Why did we? What happened? You went. Oh, you canceled one because you were at a party.
I canceled one because I was at a party.
Jacob's kids, and then I canceled one because I was in Allegheny.
Well, I wasn't around last week either, and boy, do I have some stories.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
A couple weeks worth. Well, 3 weeks worth actually.
Right. So, like, let's. Without further ado, no, I don't know.
And there is some political news, big time, but in all due time.
In all due time. First, let me tell you about my my flight over from Spain. So our flight was it's a normal route that we do. Our flight leaves at 7:30 a.m. from an airport that's an hour away, and we fly to Germany and then directly to Charlotte. And
the whole fam,
all four of us. And so for that, we have to like set our alarm for like 4:20 in the morning to get up, and like we had all our bags packed and we were ready. And I get up and I've got an email saying, "Yeah, your flights are canceled." And then another email saying, "We've automatically rebooked you for tomorrow." So they canceled our flights and rescheduled us for 30 hours later. So I was suitably pissed, yes. And
were you shaking with rage? I mean, let's get what. Were your eyes bugged out and you were chewing on your own tongue?
Yeah, I flipped over our dining room table.
Oh, yeah, it was full of food and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, were people sitting around it?
Yeah.
Because that's the best.
Yes.
Did any of them get hurt? Because if they did, that's really, really cool.
No, I flipped it so hard that it like did a 360 and landed back
right
on its
over
feet.
the top of their
It landed
heads.
back on its feet.
What landed back on its feet? Wow.
So I called up Lufthansa, and after waiting for a while, I got on with someone that said, "Yeah, your flight's canceled." And I said, "Well, rebook me for today." And she looked and she was like, "Yeah, there's nothing I can do from here. There's a chance that if you went to the airport, they might be able to get you on another flight." Because in my experience, when your flight is canceled, it's the airline's responsibility to reroute you through their partner networks. However, if you have to go to a different city or something...
Even if it costs them a tremendous amount of money. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So even though I was pessimistic, we made the decision to load all of our shit into the car. We all went to the airport just as we had planned we were going to do. And we get there, and there's obviously a long line of people that are also suitably pissed. And we finally get to talk to the woman at the desk. And she said, "Yeah, the airplane didn't show up last night. It was supposed to spend the night at the airport, and it didn't arrive. And so you don't have an airplane, so you don't have a flight. And there are literally no seats on any flights leaving today from this airport. They're all booked because airlines use overbooking, and overbooking is totally legal, and so the companies do it, even though I swear you could explain the concept of overbooking to a golden fucking retriever, and it would understand that it's not a fair deal. That you, because intelligent dogs...
I'm glad you clarified it was a golden retriever rather than just saying...
Intelligent dogs understand a quid pro quo transaction, right?
You get the bone, I'll give you a chewy.
Right. And so it's just like they sell you a ticket, and then they have the right to be like, "Nope, we're reneging our end of this contract. Anyway.
Yeah. So there you are.
So there.
They put you up in a hotel.
Well, no. See, if it had been if it hadn't been our first flight, it would have really sucked. But because it was our first flight, we just drove home, and spent the day at home.
An hour home.
Yeah, an hour back home, and our flight the next day wasn't at 7:30 a.m. It was at 11:30 a.m.
Oh, so easy morning.
Right, but we had been planning on kayaking down the river with Phil on Sunday, and that had to be canceled because
now we're
flying on
so
Sunday.
Late Saturday night.
No.
Oh, you're flying on Sunday.
Yeah, because we were going to fly Saturday
so you
morning.
had plans the very next day.
Yeah, and we can do that normally. But so anyway, we show up the next day. Yeah, we have we have to go home and buy groceries because we had left the refrigerator more or less empty, and we had a fine Saturday evening. Although, was kind of pissed off that we weren't where we were supposed to be.
Well, but you made the best of
right.
it. Sounds like.
So then on Sunday we also our flight isn't the same route to Germany and then to Charlotte. It's to Germany, Washington Dulles, Charlotte.
Oh,
and rather than get in at 5 p.m. like we always do on Saturday, we were going to get in at 11 p.m. on Sunday night. And
terrible.
I had a friend that was going to drive to the airport and pick us up, but I couldn't make him do that at that time. So I just said, look, we're going to take an Uber. It turns out an Uber from the airport is like $100.
Sure. Well, yeah.
So
Hickory. There is a Hickory Express, but you probably didn't get it.
Yeah. So then we do our flights, but then we're in Washington, and our flight to Charlotte is delayed. And anyway, long story long, we end up arriving to Charlotte at like 1:30 in the morning and get to my parents' house at like 2:30 or 3 in the morning.
And they woke up and disturbed their...
Well, yeah, my father...
Your mother.
My father was up waiting for us. But...
never went to bed. That's odd.
Probably. But anyway, it just broke the start of our vacation because it took away that whole weekend, and then it really fucked up our jet lag because we're accustomed to arriving on an afternoon, staying up as late as we can, and then more or less we can integrate. But when you go to bed at 4 a.m., when it feels like 10 a.m., anyway, it was a shit show, but we survived.
Trip got better from that point forward. You ended up going kayaking with...
No, we can't.
You didn't?
No, because he was too busy.
Oh, because it was Sunday. It was on a Sunday.
Yeah, and I was supposed to...
And that's his day out.
I was going to work on Monday, but I couldn't possibly work after getting in at like 4 a.m. So I had to take an extra vacation day, and I don't know. It just was a real shitty situation.
But how... And you... That sour lasted until Tuesday, I'd say.
Yeah, we got over it.
Monday was like still looking backwards a little bit, but by Tuesday you had a good night's sleep and got up and we're back on plan.
Yeah, although I was working that week.
Verizon.
Lordy.
Every time, and this is your business, right? It says, I agree to the conditions. You got to read them. Scroll. Accept.
Yep.
Then it's another box. I agree to the special conditions. So every time you can't go ahead to a different box until you scroll,
yep.
Which is essentially 24, 25 pages of material.
Yep.
To close the deal. to pay for it, which hopefully this dude explained it well enough to me that I'm good with it all. But the last person was charging me, unbeknownst to me, $25 a month for home device protection, which I think I erroneously thought was my wife's phone, which it wasn't. So that's what I went to replace today. But the $25 covered my computer, which I don't need because I got a contract with Geek Squad. And so $25 a month for 2 years of what I didn't need because I didn't understand.
Jesus Christ.
And why? I didn't read the 25 pages.
Yeah, I swear I've seen some lawsuit where the court agreed that it's unreasonable to assume that average humans read that shit, and that therefore it's not really binding because it's just abusive.
Well, it's. I wouldn't know I'd go that far. I think it's actually the beginning point for this is that we know that it's required. We know in this day and age it's required. Does it have to be 25 pages? Could somebody be hired to talk about this stuff with a lawyer and the lawyer explain it and then just write that down?
Right.
What this really means is that if your phone gets struck by lightning while you're walking across the street, we're not responsible for what happens.
Right.
That's 2 pages. Therefore, notwithstanding the previous passage and accepting the passages that follow, the following is true if indeed the assumptions that are outlined in section 1.4.23 are accurate and agreed to, as affirmed by your signature above.
Yep.
Huh?
Makes total sense to me.
It's like Cormac McCarthy of the fucking legal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, lawyers must love McCarthy.
They're good at Scrabble. They fill the board.
So I was more or less done with my travel story. Let's.
But your Tuesday morning was a fresh morning.
So I'm
you greeted the week.
So I'm
you
working.
Were over the.
I'm working while I'm
You're
here.
working.
What I was saying was.
The whole time?
No, I took 1 week off. One of the
instead of 2.
One. No, I'm here for 4 weeks, and I took 1 week off last week. But my employer says it's really important that I attend the meeting that normally for me is at 11:40 in the morning, but here is at 5:40 in the morning. So I've been having to get up at 5 a.m. every day to show up at a meeting.
But you get it out of the way.
Yeah, and then
And quit work earlier.
Oh, of course.
Or is
and then I work from 5:30 to 12, and it's more or less got a work day in.
Right. So my description of a typical workday is 6.5 hours.
Right.
Because you're allowed these breaks and you're allowed a lunch, and it doesn't matter whether that 6.5 hours is done over 8, 10, 12, 15 hours.
Sure, of course.
A full day is 6.5. And that helps with scheduling shit like 5 a.m. calls where you say, you know what, it's 11:30 in the morning, so I'm done.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I ain't taking one for the Gipper today, whoever the Gipper is.
Yeah, I just got back. I worked this morning, and I just got back from playing pickleball for an hour, 2.5 hours.
Who'd you play?
I played at the local rec center. There's a group that gets together, and and we.
Oh,
we
so
played.
it was like you showed up and.
Yeah, quite a few people. My kids played.
I've never played pickleball. I can't move laterally. My ankles are so bad, sprained and broken and run over by motorcycles and tripped up in fights and just all sorts of chaos in my legs. I was reminded that in Allegheny when I agreed to play what I used to call pig in the middle, but which they called something else in the middle. And there were 3 girls, and they were all really good at it. Two 7-year-olds and a 10-year-old. Well, you got a ball, and 3 people are trying to keep it away from the pig in the middle.
Okay, got it.
Usually it's 2 people.
Sure. Yeah.
But there were 3. And so this one girl was like 12 years old and a trained basketball player.
Right.
She's doing all of this aggressive stuff. And I'm running around like a fool, including laterally.
Yep.
I sat down and said, oh my God, I've hurt myself. And it was the second day of the trip. Off the leg, sleep it, little Ibu. And it was blessedly a slight mistake and wound. And my response, it worked. So it
Well done.
hardly noticed it the next day, but stayed off it some. And then by the third day, it was fine.
That's so wise. It's
So we had 8 cabins.
8 cabins. Wow.
8 cabins, 2 to 6 people in each cabin.
Okay.
Kids of all ages, and on the top of the highest summit in the Allegheny foothills,
Nice.
which is on the Pennsylvania-New York state line. And the trail, in fact, was called Summit Trail. And the cabins we were in were also served as the winter headquarter trail for cross-country skiers.
Okay.
And the cross-country skiing international log cabin was right up the road from us. As a result of that, all of the cabins were insulated and finished off with tongue and groove pine, had all restored floors, new kitchen cabinets, most had new refrigerators, all newly painted,
Luxury.
and with new railings,
Luxury.
new steps, luxury. And it's funny because I've been doing this forever, and I bring everything. We rented a trailer this time.
Wow.
A 4x8 trailer, which I don't know, a stupid me, $130 for 8 days.
That's free.
And I literally loaded it in 20 minutes. And it usually takes me an hour and a half. Walk in, set down the box, set it down, set up. Closer to the end, at the end, take my bicycle, push it in, slam the door shut, lock it. Honey, unpacked.
That's amazing. That's so cheap.
So it is incredibly cheap. And so the other thing that was way cool was we get there, and because I bring all the stuff and because I'm good at, fire making and tarp building, including an invention, which we'll discuss, and it will be, you'll have to write it and publish it, but it would be in the Tarp Association Workers newsletter.
Okay.
Okay, just thinking ahead a little bit.
I'll write it up and submit it to the.
This was recommended to me by other campers. So, but at any rate, as it turns out, because of these reasons, we're off in the central location. There's got to be a central location somewhere. You're only going to have one big fire with 25 people around it. And year after year, as luck would have it, we end up with the cabin that's centrally located with the room.
Sweet.
Where there's a place to put up a tarp, and as a result, it's not tucked down in the woods where it's dank and it's not near the bath, so close to the bath. But we had water on our property. The bathroom was right down a little hill, and we had green space all around us.
Nice.
At one point, there were four or five kids playing like a soccer game. There were 4 adults playing quoits in another
Don't know what
area.
that is.
Oh, I'll explain it. And then there was another group playing bocce ball in another area, plus people were at the campfire. But quoits, similar to horseshoes,
Okay.
but the stakes are 30 feet apart and they're only 3 inches off the ground. Instead of a horseshoe, you throw a heavy metal ring
Okay.
that looks like a donut with a huge hole in it. It's only about 1 inch thick. You have to get the ring on the little peg,
Yep.
or it has to be close enough that when you put that ring in one of the rings in the spike and you click it, it has to touch
Right.
the close one. It's not the width of the whole metal throw. It's only the width of the hole inside. So you got to be pretty close.
Is the thing that you're
And the
throwing
point
called a
is-
quoit?
That's a good question. I think it is. COIT, I believe.
No, QUOIT.
Q. Yeah. Quoit.
Quoit.
Quoits.
It's quite interesting.
Quoit. And so we played. I embarrassed my brother, whose game it is, and brought it. I beat him. Then I beat his son. And then I started yelling near the campfire that their heritage was ruined for their lineage forever. And he challenged me to another one and kicked my ass. But the point is that that's this central location again. And so I unloaded all the stuff, which took a while, and organized the cabin. I got to put up lights and new 4th of July decorations, put the food away, I have 4 tubs that, these typical plastic tubs that when you stack them 2 and 2, a tabletop fits exactly over the top of them.
Nice.
For a working counter space. There's a lot going on.
I have a Quoit history fact.
Question?
Quoit Interesting. On the Wikipedia page, it says, Quoits is supposedly the game the ancient Greek deity Apollo was playing with his lover Hyacinth, which ultimately resulted in his death. Thetis sees Jason and other heroes delighting in a mass throwing of things, and it's usually referred to as a mass of iron used for throwing, and it's often translated as quoit. Crazy. That's an.
And how to hit him in the head and killed him?
I don't know.
Or cut his neck off? I bruised my finger.
My finger
with the.
That's just like a Greek deity. Look at you. I bruised my finger.
So here's the funny thing. I'm walking. We're taking a hike to the bear caves, the famous bear caves, where I've been going since I was 6, 7 years old. It's a big steep hike up thing. We're going up the trail. We got kids with us, 3 grandchildren, 2 grandchildren anyway, not the baby. And as I'm walking up, people are coming down the trail, and they stepped aside for us so we could walk up the steep trail. And a 6-year-old boy started waving at me and said, "Hi, Santa. Hi."
Aww.
Hi. And I said, "Ho, ho, ho. Have you been a good boy this summer?" He was.
You're on my list, Timmy.
And then I yelled out, "They call me the crack Santa." Ha ha ha, said his parents. But anyway, and another point is that these caves are 2, the main cave, there's several smaller ones. And there's one there's a space in the rock and you can crawl down in it. When you crawl down through that space, you could fit 5 people in the first opening below that small entrance.
Yep.
Then there's where rocks come together, there's like a space, like a tunnel almost, that eventually gets to a much larger area, but it's usually got a lot of water in it. Point is, as you move to the back of that cave where you've got 5 or 6 people you can sit, you've got another room for 3 people if they're crouching down. So it's a pretty big space, but it's a small space to get into it. So one of my nephew's slender girlfriends climbed in easily, even though she's afraid of spiders, and she was key for my 2 grandgirls for their first time to be coaxed into going into the bear cave.
Nice.
Their first year, and it was because she was there to receive them.
Yes, of course.
Yes, and I never said anything about going in the cave. All I said was, "Come a little closer so you can see inside." Well, if you go down on that step, you can really see, and I gave them headlights. Mm-hmm. So they got a headlamp on, and then of course when they were sitting on the step, one reach away from being in the hole, she reached up and said, "Do you want to come in?" And they said, "Yeah."
Nice.
Friendly face, and they both went in. It's so cool.
Very cool.
Generational, man. Generational. But anyway, back to the original of the story, which is the rental trailer.
Yes.
So, as is due course, after I unhooked the trailer and got everything ready, the next day I got up and I drove up the side of the mountain to a guy I've been buying wood from for 12 years, and it's, honest box kind of thing, pick up the wood, drop off. I get there, everything's great, I come back, I start to unload the wood, and I think, you know what? I had the trailer parked, of course, with the tongue facing, so I could easily hook it back on. I got out of the truck, turned it around, put some big rocks and staked it down so it couldn't,
blow away,
fall down, because I opened the door wide, the 4x8 trailer, and that's where I put the wood. And stacked it up like, stacked up like cordwood, so to speak.
Sure.
2 rows deep, and then I could close the door. And that was very near the fire.
Nice.
So we had a wood chuck box. And it was always dry, was always handy, kept the axe in there, and the wood was so much fun to split. You split wood and you hit it in one whack and it pops.
Yep.
When the wood separates, pop, pop. Being able to get sticks that weren't any bigger around than a quarter and just a pop, pop, pop. And I just had so much fun with it.
A boy and his axe.
The fireman built a lot of open pit fires, cooked chicken, sausage, burgers, Impossible Burgers. Had a massive dinner every night. Everybody brought stuff and always had more food than we needed. Kept running out of forks. Yesterday I bought 5 packages of forks.
Wow.
And put them in my camping gear.
Fork, yeah.
Throw away plastic. I hate to throw them away, but
what are you going to do? Yeah.
I recycle them. I mean, best that people will throw in the black bag that has a big sign that says recycle.
Right.
And another bag that says trash. And what's in the bag that says trash? Old beer cans. And
Hey, you can
plastic
recycle that.
forks.
Yeah.
Ay. Anyway, 2 bear were sighted. None by me.
I have bear stories too.
Do you?
I do.
Let's hear 'em.
So, every year we try and do what we've come to call a vacation in a vacation.
Right.
Because
yes.
my wife often we came a couple of years and she was like, we go all the way to America and then we just stay in your parents' town. Like, we should go see other places than when we're there. And so we've been making an effort to do that. Anyway, this year we went across the border to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And on the way there, we stopped at Klingman's Dome. Have you heard of that?
No, I know Klingman, but not as a dome.
Dome. It's a mountain.
Klingman's Dome.
Yeah.
Right, like your head.
Yeah, exactly. It's the 3rd tallest mountain in North Carolina and the tallest point in Tennessee because it's right on the border. It's right on the Appalachian Trail, which more or less follows the Tennessee-North Carolina border.
And goes all the way up through the United States.
It goes up to Maine,
I was on the same mountain range. I was in the foothills, the Appalachian.
Right. So, yeah, we could have walked and seen each other. Anyway, Gatlinburg, their gimmick is that they've got a lot of bears.
And Dollywood.
Well, Dollywood is nearby in Pigeon Forge, but Gatlinburg still has a bunch of like little amusement park sort of activities which we participated in. But when we our guy that rented us the Airbnb called while we were on our way there, and he said, I just want to double check that you guys have experience with bears. And we were like, okay. And like the photos of the house on Airbnb.com, you see the interior of the house and you see the deck, and then immediately you see like a bear cub climbing over the deck fence, and apparently
in a picture, snapshot,
in a photo that's there on the thing on the advertisement for the place, and he explained to us that there are lots of bears. Like, it butts right up against this wilderness area, and it's like in a path that bears take,
called Bear Park
and
Bear National Park.
The bears, he said, you need to never ever leave any food outside, and also never leave food in your car. Because he said one time he was there, and he had a rental car, and he had left like a half a can of Red Bull in the back seat of the car, and he walked out and there was a bear that had opened the car door and was like rummaging around in his back seat. So.
And then when he drank the Red Bull, he really went.
Right, exactly. Like that Cocaine Bear movie. The and so we were like, yeah. And he explained, what you do. He said, in the house, there's a big bell that you can ring if the bears get too close. And also, like...
Because scare them away because they're black bears.
Yeah. And also, above the fridge, there's some air horns that you can get and go...
Right. If it were a brown bear or a grizzly bear that you did that to, they'd knock your fucking head off.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, we were there the first night, and lo and behold, a little teenager bear walks up the driveway and comes right up to the window.
And where were you?
We were in the living room, and there's the bear just outside sniffing around. Clearly...
And so everybody was all crazy excited to see the bear.
Yeah, of course. My guess is that the bear was like, oh, some new people in the house. Let's go see what they're about, or whatever. Or it was just doing its rounds around the different houses. But we named him Barry. And clever.
Wow. You guys are so smart.
And anyway, he looked around for a bit and then walked back down the driveway. And sadly, we didn't see him again. But throughout our stay there, we did, like, at a distance, you could see bears. They were walking down the roads. Like, they're not fucking around in the forest. They're like, they've paved roads here.
Human food.
Yeah.
Well, and you went somewhere and ate a great big huge tall burger. I saw you post somewhere.
Yeah, we had.
Must have been on Facebook.
We had some good.
Or was that
American meals? No, that was. I don't know. That was like the first night we were there. I got a nice burger, but we had some good barbecue and some pizza and stuff when we were there.
Yeah, so a nice side trip.
And it was nice. And we were there for the gimmick of all, that is, Gatlinburg boasts the first 4th of July parade of the year.
Oh.
And the way they do that is they have it at fucking midnight. 12:01 a.m. on January 4th is when they start their parade. So I've never been to a July 4th parade at night, but
now you have.
People, yeah, we did it. People that whole day were taking their folding chairs and just like leaving them on the sidewalk lining the main strip.
Yeah.
Some were like chained to a thing and locked, but a lot weren't.
Right.
And then finally it came time, and we got there, and it was a very underwhelming, lackluster parade. It was so poorly organized that...
Was it a lot of flags and a lot of red, white, and blue?
Well, so it started with the police and fire vehicles coming and making as much noise as they possibly can. Which is quite horrible.
Obnoxious.
But then it was so poorly organized that rather than it being like float, band, float, sometimes it was like 5 minutes between floats that would pass. Like they weren't organized. So it would just like...
they weren't ready to go?
A thing would pass, and then you'd just be sitting there, and...
Awful.
Lots of
Awful.
Enormous trucks with LED lights hanging off of them, and you can imagine.
I had a reminder of a 4th of July parade when a friend sent me a newspaper article from 1976 when on a bet, me and my friend Dick and our friend Ronnie made a drunken deal that if something or else, I don't know what it was, that we would all shave our mustaches and beards and turn them into goatees and appear in the bicentennial parade as 3 Uncle Sams. And whatever it was that was required to have to do that happened.
Wow.
And as a result, we had rented costumes, all dressed like Uncle Sam, and it shaved, so all we had was the Uncle Sam goatee, and had white makeup on.
Sure.
Yeah, because we had dark hair back in the day. And there are two very famous pictures. The first picture, which was sent me, was in the newspaper, and mind you, no one in the organizing of the parade knew about us.
Right.
But when the parade started, we jumped out in front.
Yeah, it turns out
Came
you
from
can
the
do
audience.
that.
We just jumped out in front and just started waving, and people loved the three Uncle Sams. And the band behind us, I think. So, it was like we were, if the mob was after you, act like you're the leader. And that picture ended up where the three of us were kneeling, two with our hands out, one in the middle. I'm on the left, and we're kneeling, squatting kind of in a semicircle. And behind us, there's a woman dressed in, 1776 garb.
Sure.
And she's holding up a 1776 flag.
Nice.
Behind us. That's on a post. So there's the three of us in front of it, and then there's a story.
What a photo.
About us. That's one photo. And that's black and white was sent me. I'll remember to send it. The other one, which I don't have a recent viewing of, was a similar one a little later, when the three of us once again were lined up, and in this case, we were all shooting the moon to the camera.
Nice.
And so you've got three Uncle Sams looking over their shoulder, and their shoulder is looking over their bare ass, smiling at the camera, and our eyes are lit. Dressed as Uncle Sam. And when my wife heard, of my wife for 47 years, when she heard that the photo came across from 1976, she said, "It's not the one where you're mooning, is it?"
Nice.
I said, "No, it's the other one." She said, "Thank God." But that was a while ago.
Nice.
It's a while ago. That was 48 years ago, I think. My math's right.
Yep. The only other interesting thing was, so later, like 22 hours later, so we ended up getting back to our house at like 2 a.m., which is way past my parents' bedtime. But then, like 20 hours later, my kids and my wife and I went to see the fireworks display, which was the saddest fireworks display. Like the little shitty town of 1,000 population that we go to in southern Spain that is so dirt poor. They put on a better fireworks show than this.
And so during these two events, which were lackluster, were you communicating that within your family, or were you?
Yeah, we were like, what the hell is? What is this garbage? Yeah.
Your kids knew that you were disappointed, or were they too?
They've seen better. What made it okay was before the fireworks. I saw my first ever drone performance, where they had 200 drones with colored lights on them fly up in formation and make different shapes in the sky, like Statue of Liberty or the American flag, and they had the American flag, so it looked like it was waving, and that was really, really, really cool. I think
Joe Biden did that in his inauguration.
I think there's going to be a lot more drone art going forward. Now that we have the technology.
Combine drone art with AI. Oh my God, what do you get?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all, it is already what we used to call AI. Like the drones are somewhat autonomous. They are communicating with the other swarm of drones and maintaining distance relative to each other. So it's already pretty, there's a lot of intelligence in there. But
crazy, man. Well, it sounds like fun. And you got 3 weeks left, or 2?
2.5.
2.5.
No, 1.5.
Well, yeah, we were fortunate when we took our trip. It's a 7-hour drive that takes 8 hours, and got there with prediction that when we left in the morning at 8, 9 a.m. it was going to be raining. And so we got everything packed in the trailer. Everything packed, in fact, except my son's backpack, which I had a place perfectly sized in the back of my truck, which closes because it's got a cover on it. And we were packed. And 3 of us in the truck with a cab and a half. So my wife was laying sideways, propped up with pillows and blankets and read, for 8 hours. No rain when we left, and a little bit of rain when we got
Did you drive the whole way?
Drops. Oh yeah, I drove.
It's a long drive.
I slept 3 hours because of previous commitments the night before, and couldn't sleep or whatever. I can't remember, but anyway, no rain. And that allowed us to unpack without being in the rain. And I was in a hurry to unpack, at least get everything inside, because we got 20 tubs of stuff.
Wow.
That fill that trailer. And so a 2-part tarp story. One is that the first night, which we all overdid it, the men particularly, at about 2 in the morning, my nephew and I were sitting on a bench, and there was smoke everywhere from 2 campfires and other places, and drinking a couple of beers. He was drinking tequila, actually. If I had a little bit, and I mentioned I was going to put a tarp up on the side of my cabin near a couple of trees, and he said, "Oh man, put it here instead, because I want up here. I want it to be tent city. I've got a tarp. You have a tarp. It's supposed to rain a lot this week, so." I said, "Well, I don't know." And he said, "No." And then we put it here and ring it here, and I've got 2 containers full of ropes and stakes and tarps and you name it. I can rig up a city in a minute. So next morning I got up by myself. Hour and a half later, I had a tarp up that was 20 by 10 feet, big enough to hold 16 people underneath it, and half of them in chairs if it rained. And as it turns out, it wasn't real pleasing view from the cabin if you weren't the one who thought of it, because my niece-in-law, so to speak, what happened on the beautiful view I had of the copse of trees in front of the house, and beyond that, the distant green hills and the other cabins. And so it came back to it, but her husband had said, do it. I'm going to put up 2 of them. And so I understood what had happened, and so the next day I took them down. And went to my place, and the trouble with the place where the campfire was there was only 1 tree, and it was like 40 feet away from the cabin, 1 tree.
Yep.
So I happened to have a 60-foot long piece of nylon rope.
Of course you do.
Strung the rope up, strung the tarp through the grommet holes like a curtain.
Yep.
Got the whole tent ready, had it ready to set up, but didn't put the stakes in. Then, with the stakes out, pushed it like a curtain all the way to the tree it was mounted on, and wrapped it so that there was no view except for the yellow
Nothing
rope.
obstructed, right?
Nothing obstructed, and in a moment's notice, if we needed it, because the weather reports were awful. And in fact, we needed it. It took us, like 4 men, me shouting out orders, 10 minutes to create a shelter.
Nice.
That was big enough for 16 people to stay out of the rain. And 15 minutes later, we put up a guy brought out a tarp that was another 20 by 10 that I built like a tent on the existing line. So we actually had seats for 20 people out of the rain and a table to play cards on. So
sweet.
I've read the article. I was cited several times throughout the week as a genius plan. The people that saw it happening had run up on my porch, which there was room for 6 or 8 people. The rest of them went inside my house and stood around drinking whatever, my little cabin, which is just 3 little rooms. But when the tarp was done, we had put all the rest of the wood on the fire the night it rained, because it was our last day. I had bought an extra half a cord of wood and had a quarter of a cord of wood left for the last night, because we're going to have.
What is a cord of wood?
Cord of wood is 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 feet stacked. A face cord is 2 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet stacked.
Are you saying cord or quart?
Cord, C-O-R-D,
Okay.
is in Dennis.
Okay.
A cord of wood, a half a cord of wood. A half a cord of wood costs $30. A full cord of wood costs $70. $70. No, 40 for a half, 70 for a full cord. And that was of good quality wood, but if you wanted cherry, which burns hard and hot and to cook with, that was $100 a cord. And if you wanted black cherry, which is a deep red wood, it was $120 a cord. So guess I got the $70 one. I went back, got the $40 one to make sure we had enough wood. I hate to be scarce on wood.
Yes.
I like the fire. Plus, if it rains, you got to have fire. And so we had a fire that was 3 feet tall, about 4.5 feet wide, a bonfire, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That rain spit on it a little bit. The fire looked up at the clouds and said, "Is that all you got?
Yeah.
Is that all you got?" And there we were out of the rain, many of us. I closed the night down alone in the tarp as my nephews had gone on for the night. They were the last ones up. It was 2:30 in the morning.
You were just sitting there looking at the fire?
He said, "What are you doing, Uncle Dennis?" I said, "I'm just going to sit here, finish my beer, watch the fire." Next morning I got up, it was day to leave, put a stick of wood on there and blew on it, and the flame shot up, baby. Found some remnants of logs here and there, including the 3 that I had used to prop up the trailer. So it wouldn't fall, which was now blessedly empty and ready to be loaded in a day that called for rain all day. And close out the event, no rain, man. When we packed up, it was clear.
Wow.
There's nothing like packing or unpacking in rain.
Yeah, that sucks.
Everything is what? Well, wet. That's why they call it wet. No, that's why they call it rain. You know, fun was had by all, man. Big dinners. All the food.
That sounds impressive.
Nephews I hadn't seen. Had some music going on. Justin was there. Our band practices tonight. We're having our debut on Friday. Mojo Riot.
Yeah.
Name we didn't really settle on it. I just said I'm tired of waiting and picked it. Posted it. I'll send you the post. 7 to 10.
Mojo Rising is a Doors lyric.
Yes,
right?
we talked about that.
Yeah. Okay.
The Mojo Riot. I don't know if the name will stick. There's no telling. These guys are. They're out there. They're throwing out all sorts of names. I thought of one today, but I can't remember. If I don't write them down, I don't remember.
So, is it time to scoot on over to the politics desk?
So, disastrous debate by Joe Biden.
Indeed.
Showed up tired with a cold and a reportedly jet lag from 3 overseas trips he'd had in the past 2 weeks.
Well, he had 2 weeks ago.
80, yeah,
Like,
still, he's 81 years old. It takes me days to recover from anything, and I'm 70. He's 11 years older than me. And he was terrible.
Yep.
He was terrible. Couldn't complete his sentences, couldn't talk about abortion, which is the big issue, didn't challenge Trump, and reportedly, and not surprisingly, you did not hear Trump because his mic was cut off when it wasn't his turn to speak. But Biden said later that Trump never shut up the entire time that he was trying to talk, and he said, "I got to tell you the truth, it rattled me."
Of course, that's what a bully would do. That's a genius move by Donald Trump. That is of course. Oh, my mic is off? Well, we're still in the same room and I can still fuck with you.
Not true. Not true.
Yeah.
Not true. And Biden, a stutterer all his life.
Yep.
You know, and a gaffe-prone politician all his
Remember
life.
when the word gaff meant something?
Yeah. Well, you know, gaff is what you use to hook a fish in the head.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it was
so he's
so embarrassing.
You know, we say in a voice. He kept trying to clear his throat. Sometimes unintelligible, and it caused the end of Medicaid.
Yeah.
what the fuck? I started screaming.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was so
He was
embarrassing.
terrible. They started calling for him to drop out of the race the next day. Democrats organized in the House to convince him not to run. The Senate starting to make noises. Biden went on television, went to an event in a strong voice, very clear, the Joe Biden we're used to hearing, said he called Joe Scarborough and Mika Brezhnev on Morning Joe show, which is a liberal MSNBC, and called in and he said, you know what? These people telling me to call down these elites, who are the donors and the elected people. I'm elected. I am nominated by the people. I have delegates. They're the ones that control this process. If they don't like me running, they can run against me. It'd be an open convention. See how you do. Give me what you got. And fighting it, and now it appears to be almost over, but it lasted an entire 4 days. He went to NATO, which was hosted in Washington, D.C. for the first time in years, gave the opening keynote address, and nailed it. Joe Biden, with prompters, with a rehearsed speech, strong voice, wonderful. And people thought, it's Joe Biden. So that helped. He's doing a press conference. One of the few, he said, has had fewer open press conferences than any president in U.S. history, including Ronald Reagan, who didn't have many. And Ronald Reagan didn't have many for the same reason that Trump did, or that Biden doesn't have many, because without his cards and his cues and his teleprompters, he's lost because he doesn't. And Reagan also became mentally deficient in his later years, which is hidden. Pretty effectively, in his final days. But that wasn't when he was running. And so Biden is recovering from this, and a couple senators I respect have said Trump is going to win by a landslide.
Yeah.
Trump, in the meantime, remained quiet for almost an entire week.
Wow.
Because his people said to him, let him unravel.
Yep.
Shh, don't hush. He went to a goddamn rally and called, for reasons I can't understand, Chris Christie, who dropped out of the race. Don't call him a fat pig. I won't call him a fat pig. He said NATO, I didn't know much about NATO till I got in office, and then like 2 days I was there and I heard about it, and I learned about it quick. I learned all about it. Those people not paying their way. And the clips I saw this morning were Trump's rally with his hat on, fat pig, didn't know about NATO, saying all this crazy shit, these lies, all this stuff. Clip of him, clip of Biden. Clip of him, clip of Biden. And then the Joe Scarborough, Mika Brezhnev said, who do you want for president? One guy had a bad debate, the other guy had a terrible, horrific presidency.
Yep.
And he's going to recover from it, I'm sure. Oh, and it's going to be, people could come to the convention floor. But at this point, Kamala Harris, who is the certain replacement nominee, she doesn't poll any better than Biden does. She's got a higher approval rating, but Biden's is in the toilet.
I heard there was at least one poll where she polled higher, but
she polled higher in some of the battleground states by 1 or 2 points within the margin of error.
Yeah. Okay.
And so and she probably polled higher in different sectors, but overall, not like she should run against Trump. It's margin of error shit at this point, bro.
I'm telling you, man. I called this months ago. Trump is winning this by.
Well, and I called that neither one of them would be. So Biden could have a heart attack, for Christ's sake.
Trump is actually going to win the popular vote this time. That's how bad Biden is. And
well, it ain't for lack of governing.
And this time, like last time, he didn't do all that much damage because he's just an incompetent fool. But this
Biden?
No, Trump. Because all he cares about is himself. He doesn't really care about the power. But now he's got these people with him that actually do care about the power, and
that's a Heritage Foundation, Project 2025,
and do want to create an autocracy.
Yes.
And That,
and have a plan to do it.
and now, now he's way more dangerous.
So here's a couple of fun facts about that. That's making the news. And there's signs going up that says you better vote blue. Project 2025 is coming for you. I'm seeing these signs come up, and there's been a lot of news. The hits, the internet hits on Project 2025 are double the hits for Taylor Swift, and even greater distance from the NFL, which up until Taylor Swift was the most often searched questions. And those graphs are fascinating to see. And so this is coming. And so the Republican platform last time Trump ran was, and I quote, whatever Trump says, end quote, no paper.
Yep.
There was no. Now, Project 2025, which is a book, was distilled down to a 14, 16-page document. That's the policy. After the policy came out, Trump tried to distance himself from Project 2025 because the head of the Heritage Foundation said on live television, we've got a plan. There's going to be another American Revolution, and if the liberals will allow it, there will be no bloodshed. And Trump was advised, step away from it, but that's the platform you endorsed yesterday. That they wrote it. What?
Well, as much as Trump can endorse anything.
Well, I'm sure he's never even fucking read it. He never talks about any. He just uses sound bites. Some of the plan are just words in caps.
Yep.
Take back our border.
Yeah. From whom? Yeah.
Where's there an addendum to like the plan to do that? I mean, so why didn't you support the bipartisan bill to do that? What? How would it be different than that? What?
Yep.
What do you mean it's your policy position? You just called the House up a month ago and said don't support it. Now it's your policy position? All caps? Fucking dunce. So that's and the election's a couple months away. I mean, November's
4 months away.
There's another debate in September.
You really think they're going to have another one?
Well, I know they're going to have another. Yes.
I guess Biden must.
Biden must. Trump. What does Trump have to lose? Trump did very well. He was awful. He lied 26 times in a row.
Sure.
Which got like 1/1,000,000th the scrutiny.
Which is on brand.
Like on brand, and therefore
he
normalized.
Exactly. He's normalized lying to the point where we just don't even.
To an extent. Oh, it's just the Donald. You know, and so he called for a debate with no moderators yesterday. I want another debate with Biden with no moderators.
Just a shouting match?
In other words, I want to climb on the front of him while he's on the ground and punch his face bloody.
Yeah.
I'm bigger, I'm fatter. At one point, Biden, during the debate, says, well, the debate or post-debate, he gets in his golf cart and fills his golf cart, and this is during the debate, fills his golf cart, I guess making a reference to his size, and I golf better than him.
Yeah, the whole like handicap stuff and like, well,
it's a lie.
If you could carry your bag,
everybody knows Biden cheats at golf, like Trump.
Yeah.
All presidents cheat at golf. With the exception, of course, Barack Obama would say, I don't cheat. He probably doesn't. But Clinton cheated like shit. Bush cheated like shit. Why? That's a gimme. That's a 12-foot putt. That's a gimme.
I feel like you have to have some of that arrogance to even want to be in the White House.
Well, sure you do, but you got to be able to know how to play it. I mean, one of the things that Biden could say is, look, man, why don't we compare pictures of each other in our swimsuits, and you'll see what kind of shape I'm in.
Yeah, that's what America wants to see. 80-year-olds in swimsuits.
Well, he's not 80. Trump isn't 80. He's only 76.
We could do. That's what we need is a swimsuit competition.
Yes. instead of the electorate college thing.
Everybody get in your Speedos, and we're gonna walk you across the stage.
There was a picture of Biden with his shirt off at the beach that went viral about 6-7 months ago. You'd find it in a minute, but once you see the picture, he just looks like an 80-year-old man with white chest hair with his shirt off, little paunch.
Yep.
You know, balding. I don't know, man. It's so we're
so the other thing,
moving abroad. We're going to move to Spain because
Nice.
Spain has the best taxes in Europe, so we'll be there.
in Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg is deep Trumpistan, and there were first of all the T-shirt shops that have kooky little sayings on them, FBI female body inspector, that's sort of nonsense. All of it was pro-Trump content.
Yeah.
And we saw several people wearing Confederate flag shirts. One of them had the Confederate flag and it said, "If this offends you, you need a history lesson." But my very favorite one was a guy wearing a shirt that said, "I'm voting convicted felon 2024." It's like, you put that on your chest that you're proud to vote for a felon who can't even vote for himself. It's like,
and can't even get a barber's license in half the states of the country.
Yeah, it's but nothing's going to change their you.
So Steve Bannon started his prison term.
Yeah, he's gonna finish that and come out stronger and eviler than ever.
Oh yeah, and he's one of his last things was, "Do you think that this is about Trump? It isn't about Trump. Trump's going to pass.
Yeah.
This is a movement. It will only end when we're victorious." Hey, I got to go. I got band practice.
All right, man. Great to see you again.
I know we had a break in there, with my freaking mobile thing. Good God.
That's cool. I'll edit that out. Where you were.
All right, ciao, baby.
See you next week, bro.
Bye.
Okay, that's it for episode number 225. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/225 with some links to quoits and cords of wood and things like that. You can support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. We would really appreciate that. See you next week.